A very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya and here are the headlines. Further boost to India's Act East policy as Prime Minister Modi leaves for two-nation visit to Indonesia and Singapore today. Business, investment and regional security issues on agenda during talks with the leadership there. Prime Minister to make a brief stopover in Malaysia. Election Commission clarifies that political parties do fall under RTI purview. Clarification a day after its order contradicting the Central Information Commission. Over 28,000 bunkers to be constructed along Indo-Pak border in Jammu and Kashmir. Construction to begin from July. Decision following 1,252 ceasefire violations by Pakistan since January this year. CBSE to announce the Class 10 exam results today at 4 p.m. Over 16 lakh students appeared for the exam after continuous and comprehensive evaluation was junked. And monsoon expected to hit the Kerala coast today, making the arrival of a rainy season. North India continues to reel under heat wave. Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh records 48.6 degrees Celsius. Our top story this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a visit to Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore today. The visit takes forward India's Act East policy. The Prime Minister gave details of his visit on Twitter, saying that India has a robust strategic partnership with all the three countries and that he would be attending a wide range of programs in these countries. Prime Minister Modi's first stop will be in Indonesia, where he will arrive this evening, this being his first visit to that country. The Prime Minister will be holding detailed discussions with President Joko Widodo. There he will also be interacting with the top CEOs and the Indian community in Indonesia. The Prime Minister's first official engagement would be a visit to the Kalibata Cemetery in South Jakarta, where he would pay homage to the soldiers who died fighting in the Indonesia's War of Independence. He will then be accorded a ceremonial reception at the Presidential Palace, which will be followed by talks between him and the Indonesian President. Both the sides are expected to ink agreements in the field of defense, space and science and technology.
We are already strategic partner since 2005 and as close maritime neighbors, there are issues which concern both of us in a very fast developing, fast evolving global situation. So there are issues relating to maritime, there are issues relating to economic development and also people to people, because that is a very strong pillar of India-Indonesia.
Well, apart from that, the two leaders will jointly inaugurate a kite festival and witness a kite exhibition that will showcase the strong civilizational linkages between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi will also address the Indian diaspora at a community reception in Jakarta. Prime Minister Modi and President Joko Widodo will also interact with the Indonesian and Indian CEOs with the aim of boosting bilateral trade and commercial ties.
As you know that we have what is called the CEO Forum, which includes some of the top businessmen of India and some top businessmen of Indonesia. In Indonesia, Kadin, and in India, CII, they anchor the CEO Forum. So there will be interaction of the two leaders with the CEO Forum. They normally present their recommendations. And then there will be a welcome banquet by President in honor of Prime Minister.
And Prime Minister Modi will leave Indonesia on 31st of May. He will make a brief stopover in Kuala Lumpur on his way to Singapore. Prime Minister Modi said that he will congratulate the new Malaysian leadership. He said that he looks forward to meeting Prime Minister of that country, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. And during their meeting, both the leaders are expected to deliberate on ways to deepen bilateral relationship in a range of areas, including trade and investment. And on 1st of June, on the last leg of his visit, Prime Minister Modi will hold extensive talks with the Singaporean Prime Minister. A key highlight of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Singapore will be his keynote address at the Shangri-La Dialogue. He is the first Indian Prime Minister who has been invited to deliver this keynote address at the forum. Prime Minister Modi said that he was deeply honoured to be delivering the keynote address, and this would be an opportunity to highlight India's views on various regional issues. Prime Minister added that the focus of his Singapore visit is to enhance the India-Singapore partnership. He said he will unveil a plaque at Clifford Pier, where Gandhiji's ashes were immersed in the sea in 1948. The Prime Minister will also address the CEOs of the top 20 companies here and is likely to ink a number of pacts in the areas of defence, space and skill development. All right, let's get a perspective on this story. My colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us on the phone line. A very good morning, Akhilesh. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first visit to Indonesia starts from today, and this is especially significant because Jakarta is basically a key to countering a Chinese assertiveness in the region.
Yeah, right. This visit is also important because you know that Indonesia is the largest population of Muslim people in the world, and India is particularly the second largest Muslim population in the world. So there is also convergence on these issues, cultural issues. And if you compare India and Indonesia, the Indonesians also hold many of the cultural linkages from India, like Hinduism specifically. So culturally, we are very close. And other than that, you know that Indonesia and many other countries in the ASEAN region are really interested in active presence of India because of the Chinese assertiveness. And they also feel that there should be no monopolistic mindset and attitude in this region, because this region has traveled a lot for development issues, and they have created a level playing field for every country. But once they see that certain countries trying to assert more than required,
yes,
they have become scared, and that is why they want presence of India in a big way, in an active way. And in that context, I will tell you that defense cooperation will be maybe one of the major components of this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Indonesia, because Indonesia has always been thinking to have a close cooperation with India. So in that way, Indonesia is also may also give some access to exports, and also India may upgrade Indonesian airports and ports. So in that way, you know that this visit is quite important in both ways, strategic ways and also in investment ways. And India is one of the countries in Indonesia who has given largest employment to the people by investment. So Indonesia is keen to upgrade and deepen this relationship. That's why.
All right. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for that perspective on that story. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Queen Maxima of the Kingdom of Netherlands in Delhi. The Queen is visiting India in her capacity as the United Nations Secretary General's Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance for Development. Prime Minister Modi and Queen Maxima discussed various initiatives taken in the last few years by the Government of India for enhancing financial inclusion in India, such as the Jan Dhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Atal Pension Yojana. The Queen appreciated the progress achieved by these initiatives. The two leaders also discussed global development finance. And Prime Minister Modi will today interact with the beneficiaries of the Mudra Yojana through the Namo app. The Prime Minister will hold the interaction at 9:30 in the morning. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana is a scheme launched on 8th of April 2015 for providing loans up to 10 lakh rupees to the non-corporate, non-farm, small, micro and medium enterprises. Now, these loans are classified as Mudra loans under the PMMY. Now, these loans are given by commercial banks and small finance banks and cooperative banks. And earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with the women beneficiaries of the Ujjwala scheme through the video conferencing via the Narendra Modi app on Monday. The Prime Minister said that the Ujjwala scheme is bringing about a social transformation by improving the lives of the poor, marginalized, Dalits and tribal communities. The beneficiaries also shared their experiences with the Prime Minister.
अत्यंत हर्ष हो रहा है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is playing a crucial role in social transformation. Interacting with women beneficiaries of the scheme through Narendra Modi app, Prime Minister Modi said that out of 4 crore free LPG connections given to poor women, 45% beneficiaries have been Dalits and tribals.
जो महिलाएं घर के काम काज के अलावा दूसरी आर्थिक गतिविधियों से भी जुड़ी हुई हैं, एलपीजी ने उनकी कार्यक्षमता अप्रत्याशित रूप से बढ़ा दी है। उनका जो समय जलावन इकट्ठा करने में बर्बाद होता था, लकड़ी लाना, ये लाना, डिगना लाना, अब वो समय बच गया और उसका उपयोग बाकी जो वो काम करती थी उसमें लग गया।
Addressing the Ujjwala beneficiaries, Prime Minister Modi said that 10 crore LPG connections have been given out in the past 4 years as compared to 13 crores in the 6 decades since independence. The Prime Minister said that 81 families out of every 100 families in the country have the LPG connection now.
उन्होंने पहले जो दिया वो बड़े-बड़े लोगों को दिया। हमने तय किया कि जिसके पास नहीं है, जो लकड़ी का चूल्हा जलाते हैं, जो धुएं की जिंदगी गुजारते हैं, जो माताएं बहनें मजदूरी भी करती हैं, रोजी रोटी कमाने में मदद करती हैं और फिर लकड़ी ढूंढने जाना, खाना पकाना, इतना कष्ट माँ बहनों को होता था, हम उनको मुक्ति दिलाना चाहते थे।
The beneficiaries also shared their experiences with the Prime Minister.
सर जल्दी खाना उना बन जाते हमारे घर, खाना उना बन गए तो जनसेवा भी कर लेता हूँ, अपन आस पड़ोस में भी बता देता हूँ कि मोला सिलेंडर मिले है तो मोर समय घलो बचाते, मोर लोग लेकर भी समय दे पाता।
उज्ज्वला गैस हमारे घर में आई है, इससे हमें बहुत सहूलियतें हो गई। रमजान के महीने में तो बहुत ही ज्यादा। अब हम सुबह ही उठ के 15 मिनट आधा घंटा पहले ही खाना पका सकते हैं और सहरी में खा सकते हैं और बच्चों को भी खिला सकते हैं सब।
The Prime Minister said that the government is very serious in eliminating middlemen in distribution of LPG connections under the scheme. He asserted that the government has aimed to distribute free LPG connections to 8 crore poor families in the next 2 years. For this, the government has raised the allocation to 8,000 crore rupees. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And BJP President Amit Shah will start an initiative named Sampark for Samarthan to let people know about the achievements of the Prime Minister Modi-led NDA government in the last 4 years. Shah will start the initiative from former Army Chief General Dalbir Singh's residence in Gurugram, and he will later meet constitutional expert Subhash Kashyap. He will reach out to 50 people personally with the details of the initiatives and achievements of the government, whereas each BJP Karyakarta will contact at least 10 people to make them aware about the government achievements. On the other hand, several union ministers will today address press conferences in different states to inform the people about the government's achievements in the last 4 years. The ministers include Home Minister Rajnath Singh, Nitin Gadkari, Ram Vilas Paswan, Anant Kumar and Ravi Shankar Prasad. Time to take a very short break here. We'll be back with more news. Welcome back after the break. There cannot be any comprehensive dialogue with Pakistan till it shuns terrorism. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said this on Monday while asserting that the talks with a hostile neighbour were not appropriate while people are dying on the border. The minister was speaking to media persons highlighting the achievements of the NDA government with regard to foreign policy.
Addressing a press conference on the NDA government's 4th anniversary, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj outlined the work done by her ministry since 2014. She said the government has achieved unprecedented outreach and unparalleled outcome at the global stage under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. She also ruled out a dialogue with Pakistan till it shuns terrorism.
We are ready for talks के साथ. हमने कभी भी, we were never in a position when we said that we are not ready for talks. But there is a caveat. Terror and talks cannot go together. ये हमारी पोजीशन है और इस पोजीशन में किसी तरह का कोई बदलाव नहीं है. पाकिस्तान आतंकवाद छोड़कर बातचीत की मेज पर आने को तैयार हो. क्यों? जब सीमा पर जनाजे उठ रहे हों तो बातचीत की आवाज अच्छी नहीं लगती.
The External Affairs Minister said Prime Minister Modi initiated a fresh round of talks with China following the Doklam standoff. She asserted that there is no change in the status quo in Doklam and the position of China and Bhutan on the matter continues to exist as before.
ये 3 उद्देश्यों को लेकर हुई थी। पहला उद्देश्य था रिश्तों की सहजता बढ़े, दूसरा उद्देश्य था वैश्विक मुद्दों पर आपसी समझ बढ़े और तीसरा उद्देश्य था पारस्परिक विश्वास बढ़े। और मैं ये कह सकती हूं कि ये वार्ता समाप्त होने के बाद ये तीनों उद्देश्य हम प्राप्त करके लौटे हैं। हमने बार-बार कहा है, आज मैं फिर दोहराना चाहती हूं कि डोकलम के फेस ऑफ साइट पर स्टेटस को बना हुआ है।
Amid America's plan to scrap a rule allowing spouses of H-1B visa holders to work legally in the country, Sushma Swaraj said the government is making all efforts to persuade the Trump administration against such a move.
पूंजी और तकनीक दोनों को साथ मिलाकर इस देश में हम लेकर आए और आज मुझे खुशी है आपको ये बताते हुए कि फरवरी 2018 तक हमारे मई 2014 से फरवरी 2018 तक 209.83 बिलियन यूएस डॉलर्स, जिसको हिंदी में अगर मैं कहूं तो 14 लाख करोड़ से ज्यादा की पूंजी फरवरी 2018 तक देश में आ चुकी है।
The External Affairs Minister also added that the NDA government had made the Indian passport stronger while making the process to obtain it simpler.
The 4 years of India's foreign policy has indeed created an impact, and it is talked about not only among the governments of the world but also among the people of the world. And to add to it, the working of foreign ministry has also changed drastically, and the conveniences are going to the people much more easily than it was earlier. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Prasanto in Delhi.
Meanwhile, the Home Ministry has said that more than 28,400 bunkers will be constructed in Jammu and Kashmir for the safety of residents living along the Indo-Pak border. The Home Ministry has approved 415 crore rupees for the construction of more than 14,000 bunkers in Kathua, Samba, Jammu, Rajouri and Poonch districts, and work on the construction of 1,431 community and more than 13,000 individual bunkers will also be commenced from July. The Ministry's decision came in the view of 1,252 ceasefire violations by Pakistan since January this year. The decision for the construction of bunkers was taken at a high-level meeting attended by the top brass of the Home Ministry to take a stock of the situation there. Meanwhile, compensation for the victims of cross-border firing has been approved at the National Disaster Response Force raids. The compensation for livestock may be increased to 50,000 rupees from 30,000 rupees presently. On to some other news now. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj held talks with her Iranian counterpart Mohammad Zarif on Monday. The two sides discussed bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. Zarif's day-long visit was aimed at seeking India's support for its nuclear deal with the world powers after the US pulled out of the deal. Zarif has been visiting the leaders of several countries to discuss the future of the nuclear deal. And ahead of that meet, Sushma Swaraj said that India only follows the United Nations sanctions and not country-specific sanctions like that of the US's on Iran. India had earlier also called for diplomacy to resolve the dispute over the Iran nuclear deal after the US announced that it was pulling out of the accord agreed with Tehran in 2015. It is noteworthy that New Delhi has long-standing ties with Iran, which is also one of its top oil suppliers.
हमारा बहुत साफ कहना है कि हम यूएन सैंक्शंस को मानते हैं, कंट्री स्पेसिफिक सैंक्शंस को नहीं मानते। पिछली बार भी जब अमेरिका ने सैंक्शंस ईरान पे लगाई थी तो हमारा व्यापार उनसे चलता रहा था। जहां तक बैंक का सवाल है, उनका कोई बैंक सेटअप करने का प्रपोजल अभी तक हमारे पास नहीं आया है।
And the Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, has approved the procurement of equipment valued at over 6,900 crore rupees. The purchase includes a thermal imaging light sight for the rocket launcher for accurate targeting of enemy bunkers, even in complete darkness. The DAC also accorded approval for undertaking design and development of the long-range dual-band infrared imaging search and track system for Su-30 MKI aircraft and subsequently for the procurement of at least 100 IRSTs. Now, the system will be able to operate in day and night conditions and substantially enhance the capabilities of that aircraft. News from Karnataka now. While clarifying his remarks that he was at the mercy of the Congress party and not the people of the state, Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy said that he did not mean to show disrespect to the people, but stressed the fact that his continuation in the post depended on his coalition partner. He also added that he was committed to waive a farm loan or else would retire from politics. Meanwhile, the Congress and the JDS are at loggerheads over the allocation of key portfolios in the Karnataka cabinet. However, Kumaraswamy exuded confidence that an amicable power-sharing agreement will be worked out.
Solved smoothly. Don't worry. Next within a week, all the thing will solve it up.
Kumaraswamy, who met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Monday, sought the cooperation of the Centre for the Development of the state. He also flagged the issue of a shortage of coal for the state's thermal power plants during the meet.
Cordially, we discussed several issues. I request his blessing for smooth running of the state, and regarding development works, I requested several issues. He positively responded me. We will work in good humor future days.
Meanwhile, a state BJP president B.S. Yedurappa has threatened to take the next course of action if Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy failed to deliver on his farm loan waiver promise within a week. On to the other top story of the day. The Election Commission has issued a clarification over its order on political parties under RTI purview. A day after its order saying that parties are out of the purview of the RTI Act, the Commission said that national parties are public authorities under the Act as declared by the Central Information Commission. The Commission clarified that it goes by the CIC order of 3rd of June 2013 that declared national parties as public authorities for the purposes of the RTI Act. The CIC order had said that all the information about the contribution received by these parties as well as their annual audited accounts as and when submitted to the Commission are put in public domain. The appeal order had come on an RTI seeking details of donations through electoral bonds collected by the 6 national parties declared as public authorities under the RTI Act by the CIC, namely the Congress, BJP, NCP, BSP, CPIM and CPI. Let's take a look at some more national news. Let's go nationwide. The CBSE will declare the results of Class 10 results by 4 p.m. today. 16.38 lakh students had appeared for the CBSE Class 10 board exams this year. The results will be announced in the CBSE official website today evening as per the board officials. Delhi Metro's Magenta line has opened for the general public from today. Union Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs Hardeep Singh Puri and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal flagged off the stretch yesterday evening. The Magenta line is fully operational from today morning 6 a.m. Heat wave has intensified in Himachal Pradesh as the fire continues to rage in forest areas of Shimla's Hiranagar. As per the data available with the Forest Department, 726 incidents of forest fire have been reported so far and has resulted in a loss of over 3,000 hectares of forest land. And a massive fire broke out last night at the Anpara Thermal Power Station's switchyard in Uttar Pradesh. 5 attendants and the police immediately reached the spot as a firefighting operation continues. Let's get you all the weather update. And North India continues to reel under a heat wave as the normal life is hit by the scorching sun in Haryana, Rajasthan and southern Uttar Pradesh. Meanwhile, Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh broke the record of 30 years at 48.6 degrees Celsius. The heat wave is expected to continue for the next couple of days, and a loo alert has also been issued for North India. In Delhi and Varanasi, the mercury crossed 44 degrees Celsius in many places. In Lucknow, the maximum temperature was 42 degrees Celsius, while in Kanpur, it touched 43 degrees. Sriganganagar in Rajasthan recorded a maximum temperature of 45 degrees Celsius, while Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh broke the record of 30 years at 48.6 degrees Celsius. The temperatures crossed the 46-degree mark at many places in Rajasthan, as Bundi recorded the highest temperature of 47 degrees Celsius, and the Met Department has issued a heat wave and dust storm warning for the next 24 hours in the state as well. In Punjab, Amritsar had a hot day at 43.6 degrees Celsius, up 3 notches against the normal limits. Ludhiana and Patiala also experienced hot weather. Let's take a look at the weather conditions across India.
Chandigarh is 42 degrees Celsius, and Haryana, say western part of Haryana is around say 44.8 degree. So 44 to 45 in the western part and southern part of Haryana, and 43 to 44 in the remaining part of the state. And similarly in Punjab, it is 43 to 44 in the central and western parts. And still heat wave conditions are being experienced in some parts, and they will come down maybe in next 2 to 3 days.
There's going to be some relief because the IMD has forecast a southwest monsoon 3 days before the normal onset date in Kerala in the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, 7 people died due to rain-related incidents in parts of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Now, conditions have been favorable for the further advancement of the southwest monsoon, covering parts of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, parts of Bay of Bengal during the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, Gujarat too is expected to receive a respite from the scorching heat in the next 2 to 3 days. The IMD has said that the temperature will also go down as Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh will get light rainfall in the next 2 to 3 days. Gusty winds and western disturbances will bring relief. Meanwhile, 4 people died in the storm with the lightning which lashed parts of Unnao, Uttar Pradesh. That's all in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching.